Okay, this is dated June the 8th, 2021. It's addressed to Mark Ward, Administrator of Elections, Benton County Election Commission, 113 Maple Avenue, Suite 1, Camden, Tennessee. In reference to State Election Commission meeting on June the 14th, 2021 at 12 p.m., additional allegation for show cause hearing. Dear Mr. Ward, on May the 4th, 2021, you received a notice of hearing under Tennessee Code annotated 2-11-202, parentheses A, 18 parentheses, C parentheses, to respond to 5 allegations being brought before the State Election Commission, SEC, to revoke your certification or otherwise discipline you as a certified administrator of elections. The show cause hearing is scheduled for Monday, June the 14th at 12 noon to be held at the Rosa L. Parks Avenue, 3rd floor, Nashville, Tennessee, in the Nashville room of the William R. Snodgrass, Tennessee Tower. Coordinator of Elections, Mark Goins, discussed the potential of an additional allegation to be considered by the State Election Commission with Dr. Randy Shannon, your legal counsel, by phone on Tuesday, June the 1st. In that conversation, Dr. Shannon agreed that you would not seek a continuance of the June 14th hearing if only one additional allegation was added. The 5 allegations for which you received notice in that May 4th, 2021 letter are as follows. 1, failing to timely process voter registrations. 2, failing to perform required list maintenance duties to maintain accurate voter registration records. 3, falsely accusing the State Election Commission members of improperly appointing county election commissioners. And 4th, demonstrating partiality at the November 18th, 2019 Benton County Commission meeting. And 5, illegally advising the Benton County Provisional Ballot Counting Board not to count one or more legally cast provisional ballots. After reviewing the poll official records and the Benton County Election Commission minutes, multiple additional violations were found in the minutes of the Benton County Election Commission. But as agreed, only one will be added in order to proceed with Monday's hearing. The notice is to advise you of a 6th allegation being brought before the SEC during the already scheduled show cause hearing. Specifically, the allegation is for failure to ensure the proper appointment of election officials during the election process, and the allegation is described as follows. Number 6, failure to ensure the proper appointment of election officials during the election process. Statutory duty, Tennessee Code annotated 2-12-201, parentheses 12, states that one of the duties of the AOE is the following: having knowledge of all current laws pertaining to the election process and any changes mandated by the General Assembly, and apprising the Election Commission, office staff, candidate, the press, and the public in general of this information. Tennessee Code annotated 2-4-105, parentheses A, states the following: as nearly as practicable, no more than 1/2 of the number of election officials at a polling place and no more than 1/2 of the whole number of inspectors may be members of the same political party. In applying the rule of this section to inspectors whose appointment is required by 2-4-102 shall not be counted. Tennessee Code annotated 2-7-138 states the following: the officer of elections, accompanied by either a judge or precinct registrar or another political party, shall immediately deliver the locked ballot box or boxes and remaining election supplies or equipment except the voting machines to the County Election Commission. Tennessee Code annotated 2-6-302B states the following: if the County Election Commission determines that there are fewer than 100 absentee ballots to be counted, the County Election Commission may act as a central absentee ballot counting board without additional compensation. To ensure election integrity, an AOE must be non-biased in action and words. Tennessee Code annotated 2-1-111 states the following: each person charged with the administration of any part of the election laws of this state shall, before entering upon the performance of such duties, take the following oath. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States and the Constitution and laws of the state of Tennessee, and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of my office. Allegation. In an April 22, 2021 article in the Camden Chronicle, when discussing the charge changes you made to the Benton County Election Office when becoming the AOE in 2009, you are quoted as saying, I immediately implemented safeguards for fair elections, including separate keys for each party's separate ballot boxes and voting equipment, equal representation between parties at each polling facility, and hiring a Democratic Party representative to work in the election office during any aspect of an active election to ensure integrity. Although there is a similar pattern for other elections, the simplicity we will focus on August the 2nd, 2018 and November the 3rd, 2020 elections to demonstrate the alleged violation. The records August 2nd, 2018 and November 3rd, 2020 elections reflect a failure to appoint election day poll officials, computer technicians, and machine technicians on a bipartisan basis. Based on the poll official records, the political party breakdown of the poll officials is as follows. August 2018, Precinct 2. The poll official records reflect 5 out of 6 officials who were appointed to represent the Republican Party. The 6th person voted in the Republican primary on August the 2nd, 2018, the election in which she served. Precinct 6. Although the poll official records provided by you designate 3 out of the 7 poll officials who worked to represent the Democratic Party, the voter history of 2 of the 3 workers reflect that they voted in the most recent federal and state Republican primaries and voted in the Republican primary on August the 2nd, 2018. The election in which they served, similarly, the 3rd person appointed to represent the Democratic Party voted in the Republican primary on August 2nd, 2018. The election in which he served. Computer tech. Although the poll official records provided by you designate 1 out of 2 computer techs who represent the Democratic Party, the voter history for the person designated as a Democratic computer technician reflects he voted in the Republican primaries in 4 out of the last 5 elections, including the 2018 and 2020 primary elections. Machine tech. The list of machine technicians reflect 4 of 5 machine technicians represented the Republican Party. November 2020, Precinct 4, the poll official records provided by you reflect that all 6 of the 6 officials who were appointed to represent the Republican Party. Precinct 5, the poll official records provided by you reflect 6 out of 7 election officials who were appointed to represent the Republican Party. The voter history reflects that the person designated to represent the Democratic Party voted in the Republican primary August the 6th, 2020. Precinct 6. The poll official records provided by you reflect that 6 of 8 officials who were appointed to represent the Republican Party. Although the poll official records reflect that 1 poll official was appointed to represent the Democratic Party, the voter history of the worker reflects that she voted in the last 3 Republican primaries, including August 6, 2020. The other worker just started voting in Benton County and does not have any prior primary election history. Computer tech. Although the poll officials' records provided by you designated 1 out of 2 computer techs who worked to represent the Democratic Party. The voter history for the person designated as a Democratic Party technician reflects he voted in Republican primaries in 4 out of the last 5 elections, including 2018 and 2020. Machine tech. List of machine technicians reflects 3 of the 4 machine technicians representing the Republican Party. The 4th person was consistently voted in federal and state Republican primaries for the last 3 years and does not appear on either a Republican or Democratic workers list. Without having at least 1 Democratic election official at these polling places, The officer of elections could not have been accompanied by an election official of a different political party as required by Tennessee Code annotated 2-7-138. Based on voting records, the computer technician listed for the August 2018, November 2020 were both Republicans. For the November 2020 election, all 4 machine technicians were Republicans. For the August 2018 election, out of the 5 machine technicians who served for this election, there was only 1 Democratic machine technician. As the quote of the Camden Chronicle article indicates, having bipartisan representation of each polling place ensures integrity in the election process. The absence of such bipartisan representation may cause candidates and voters of the different political party that is not represented to question the fairness of the election process and the trustworthiness of the election results. By your own words in the April 2nd, 2021 Camden Chronicle article, the lack of equal representation between parties at each polling facility comprises the integrity of the election process, if not in fact, then by law and by public perception. Your understanding of the importance of having bipartisan representation in the election process is made clear through minutes of Benton County Election Commission in the April 14, 2006 Election Commission meetings prior to your appointment as an election commissioner. You attended a BCEC meeting and advocated for poll workers to be equally divided between Democrats and Republicans. According to the minutes, you cautioned the Benton County Election Commission that if this was not addressed, that there would be some form of legal action filed. Then during the August 12, 2008 election meeting, in which you served as an election commissioner, you advocated for the AOE to contact the officers to make sure that the election commission would have both parties present during the transport of the JBCs to and from the polls. Your insistence for this measure was either based on your understanding of Tennessee Code Annotated 2-7-138 or your sense of fairness, or both. Whichever your basis, you demonstrated a knowledge that bipartisan representation is needed when transporting election materials on election night. Yeah, excuse me. I'm not used to talking this long. This is about a week's worth of talking for me. During the August 2018 and November 2020 elections, you did not ensure that there is bipartisan representation in each polling place and in the representation of the computer technician and machine technician. Also, during the August 6, 2020 and November 3rd, 2020 election, no election officials were appointed to establish separate absentee counting boards, even though under the law separate absentee counting boards were required. Based on the minutes of meetings held by the Benton County Election Commission on August the 6th and November the 3rd, the Election Commission counted the absentee ballots for each election. On August the 6th, the Commission counted 175 mail-in votes, and on November the 6th, the Commission counted 170 counted. Just a moment. On November 3rd, the Commission counted 433 countywide and 47 city mail-in votes. However, the Election Commission may only serve as to absentee vote counting board when there are fewer than 100 absentee ballots to be counted. If there are 100 or more, the Election Commission must appoint a separate counting board. It is your responsibility to have knowledge of the laws pertaining to the counting of absentee ballots and apprise the Election Commission appropriately.
Yes.
As the administrator, you were aware of how many absentee ballots the Benton County Election Commission had received. For these elections, you should have advised your Election Commission that a separate counting board would be required for each election to ensure an adequate number of election officials to conduct the election. Additionally, after further review of the provisional ballots from 2018 at issue in the Allegation 5, one was cast in the August election and one was cast in the November election, rather than both having been cast in the November election. The second paragraph of allegation 5 is revised as follows. A provisional vote should be counted where there is evidence that a voter timely attempted to register prior to the voter registration deadline. In the 2018 election cycle, at least 2 voters, one in August and one in November, had transactions with agencies offering voter registration and indicated that they wanted to register. The August voter received no votes history for the election, indicating the vote was not counted. The same is true for the November voter, further supported by the statistics you submitted through 2018 election administration and voting survey. Dr. Randy Shannon, the legal counsel for this hearing, is being copied on this notice of the additional allegation being brought to the SEC on June 14, 2021. Should you have any questions, please submit your writings. Please submit them in writing to Kathy Summers at 10.gov. Sincerely, Kathy Summers.